Welcome everybody, I am the YouTuber here, and we are getting set for my 32-team NCAA football tournament that will begin tomorrow. So let's get into it. We have 4 regions plus the semifinal locations, and the national championship in Indianapolis. Or the championship in Indianapolis. So let's go over. We have the Rose Bowl region, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl region, the All-State Sugar Bowl region, and the Capital One Orange Bowl region. And then the semifinals are the Cotton Bowl and Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. So how it works is the 32 teams will play at a campus site for the first round and second round. So once you get down to 16, from 32 to 16, you'll have the first 2 rounds at a campus site with the team on top hosting the team on the bottom. So it will be how that works. So let's go into and get this started here. Our first team is the Georgia Bulldogs. Hopefully you can see that. They'll be hosting the Oklahoma Sooners. So that's the number 1 seed and the number 1 seed overall, and also the number 1 seed in the Orange Bowl region is the Georgia Bulldogs. Oklahoma is the number 3 overall seed, and the number 2 seed in the Orange Bowl region. Alright, next up is the Clemson Tigers. They will be hosting the Cincinnati Bearcats. Alright. Our last 4 teams for the Orange Bowl region are, first up, the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They'll be hosting the Michigan Wolverines. Final 2 teams for the Orange Bowl region before we move on to the Sugar Bowl region. Is the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. They'll be hosting the Oregon Ducks. Alright, next up is the Sugar Bowl region. Winners of the winners of the Sugar Bowl and Orange Bowl will play in the Peach Bowl. Winners of the Rose and Fiesta will be in the Cotton Bowl. And those 2 winners will play each other in the national championship or championship game. So, like I said, the first 2 rounds of each region will be in a campus stadium of the higher seed team, which in the first round is the team on top. So let's go over the seedings for the Orange Bowl before we move on to the Sugar Bowl. Georgia's number 1 seed. Oklahoma's the number 2 seed in that region. Clemson is Oklahoma's the 4th seed. Sorry, overall and in the region. And then 2 goes to Clemson. 3 goes to Cincinnati. 5 goes to Oklahoma State. 6, Michigan. And then 7 and 8, Coastal Carolina and Oregon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, seeds 1 through 8. Yeah. All right, now let's move on to the Sugar Bowl. The Tennessee Volunteers, they'll be hosting the Georgia State Panthers. Next up is the Texas Longhorns. They'll be hosting the Penn State Nittany Lions of the Big Ten. Then you have the Michigan State Spartans. They'll be hosting the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. The final 2 teams for the Sugar Bowl region are as follows. The Arkansas Razorbacks, and they'll be hosting the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. So that is your Orange Bowl and Sugar Bowl. First 2 rounds at the campus side. So if Georgia wins, they will. So here's how it works. If Georgia wins, I'll just break it down for the region, and that'll be how it goes for each region on both sides of the bracket. Georgia, if they were to beat Oklahoma, they would host the second round game. If they lose, then it would take Cincinnati to win for Oklahoma to host that second round. Once you get past there, that where it shows the Orange Bowl logo, Sugar Bowl logo, Rose Bowl logo, and the Fiesta Bowl logo in the third round, where it goes down from 32 to 8, or 32 to 16, and then from 16 to 8. Once it gets down to the 8 teams left, then it'll be at the Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Rose Bowl, and Fiesta Bowl, and then Peach and Cotton for the semis, and then Indianapolis for the championship. So, there you have that. So, if Clemson were to win, they would get to play at home against either Cincinnati or Clemson, and it wouldn't matter who won that one. If Georgia wins, they get the host. Oklahoma State wins. They would get the host regardless of who wins between Coastal Carolina and Oregon. And then Tennessee would get the host if they win. If they don't win, Georgia State somehow upsets Tennessee. Then Texas wins, they would play in Austin. So it's not basically based off of the team on the bottom or top. It's just whoever is the higher seed. So this time I don't have the seeds in here, but I will show you the overall seeds at the end, towards the end of this video, and then I will explain the region. Seeds. Alright, so now we move on to the Rose Bowl it'll be the South Carolina Gamecocks. They'll be hosting the Texas Tech Red Raiders, so red-black game there. Next up is the Baylor Bears. They'll be hosting the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Now moving on to the last four teams of the Rose Bowl region. That'll be the Ole Miss Rebels. They'll be taking on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The last two teams for the Rose Bowl region are Liberty, and they'll be hosting the toughest team of them all, the Ohio State Buckeyes. People are saying, why is Liberty ahead of rankings of Ohio State? Well, I will explain how I see it and put the matchups together at the end of towards the end of the video. So, moving on to the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl region. The Wisconsin Panthers, they'll be hosting the USC Trojans. Then you have the Texas A&M Aggies hosting UCLA Bruins. Then you'll have TCU. They'll be hosting the University of South Florida. And then University of Central Florida, they'll be hosting Louisville. Louisville's the final team in our tournament. Alright, so you have the 32 teams announced. So how it got into determining who was going to be in the tournament, I based it somewhat off of the top 25 rankings, with some teams making it in that did not make the playoffs, or not playoffs, the a bowl game, or teams that had a good season but just did not get to where they wanted to go, which was the playoffs. Even though they started out good. You have all teams that made the playoffs in this. There is no team that made the college football playoff this past real life season that is not in there. Georgia, Cincinnati, Michigan, so you have Georgia, Cincinnati, Michigan. Oh, wait. One team did not. I left that one team from the playoffs. I'll explain why I left out. Georgia, Cincinnati, and Michigan made it in. Alabama, I just now looked at Alabama is not in here. The reason Alabama did not make it in there is Alabama, of the three remaining playoff teams, Alabama has had the most appearances in the college football playoff, even more so than Georgia. Georgia has had 2 playoff appearances. One against the team that they're playing in the first round of this tournament, Oklahoma. And the other one being against Michigan in the past playoff. Alabama has had the most outside of Clemson. And the reason why Clemson made it in instead of Alabama is Clemson won out because they did not make the current playoffs. And they had a kind of rocky season. Only making it to the Cheez-It Bowl against Iowa State. Cincinnati being the team in the playoffs, and then Oklahoma State making the Fiesta Bowl. So the reason why I didn't put them in the Fiesta Bowl region is because they made the Fiesta Bowl. So Ohio State is one of the teams that made that bowl of that region that they're in. So, yeah. Advantages has had too much luck over the years. That's why I kind of put some teams in it that have not had that much experience in tournaments, playoffs, and postseason in Liberty and USF, as well as Arkansas, Tulsa, Georgia State, Coastal Carolina, teams that have had some good years. Meaning Texas, personally, why they not get USC? I was trying not to create some conference, at least in the first round. I was not trying to create rematches or rematches or conference games in the first round. You may see some conference games in the second round. That's if Michigan State beats Georgia Tech and Penn State beats Texas. That would be the only time you would see a conference rematch, but that would be not until the championship game of the Sugar Bowl region and the Final Eight, or Elite Eight. You probably won't see any conference rematches or conference games unless in the Sweet 16, unless Baylor beats App State and Tech beats South Carolina. Or, yeah, I said, or USC and UCLA play each other, then you would see a Pac-12 matchup. I don't think USF and UCF are on the same conference. I could be wrong on that. Excuse me. And then on the other side, the only way you would see a rematch in the Orange Bowl region is if Oklahoma State and Oklahoma made it to the championship of that region. For the other region, the Sugar Bowl region, you would get a rematch is if Penn State and Michigan made it through, or Arkansas and Tennessee made it through. You could get a final four of Oklahoma teams with all Oklahoma teams making it into the tournament. You can have two in-state matchups possibilities. You have Bedlam possibility for the Elite Eight Orange Bowl change up or final. You could have a Final Four of Oklahoma State and Tulsa, or Oklahoma and Tulsa. And you could have an in-state matchup if Tech and Texas A&M or TCU make it through. And Baylor, there's Baylor in there too from the state of Texas. So you have TCU, Texas A&M, Baylor, and Texas Tech all in one half of the bracket. Texas being the only school from the state of Texas on the other half of the bracket. So you can see some interesting second round matchups in the Sweet 16, in the Elite 8, and Final 4. And you got some interesting matchups in the round of 32, the first round. What's the one I'm looking forward to the most seeing? Well, South Carolina, Texas Tech is going to be pretty interesting. Ole Miss, Notre Dame will be an interesting one. Wisconsin, USC is going to be a good one since that is a Rose Bowl like matchup in the Fiesta Bowl region. You have Texas A&M, UCLA. I think they've played each other before, and you have Arkansas, Tulsa is a good matchup because that's a good matchup. Penn State, Texas should be good. Michigan State, Georgia Tech. One I think is going to be interesting is Oklahoma and Georgia being a rematch of one of the playoff games. And Clemson, Cincinnati should be a good game. Oklahoma State, Michigan, who I think is going to come out of each matchup. I'd say probably it's going to be a tough one between Georgia and Oklahoma. I'd say I don't know. I know I'm leaning towards Georgia coming out of that one, and then Clemson coming out of that one. Oklahoma State coming out of that one. I say Oregon coming out of the game against Coastal Carolina. Tennessee, Georgia State. That's going to be an interesting one because teams have had as good of luck. I say Tennessee comes out of that one. Texas comes out of the Penn State one. Michigan State comes out of that. I say Arkansas comes out of that one. And so, if I were to predict what happens, I'd say Georgia versus Clemson, Oklahoma State versus Oregon, Tennessee versus Texas, Michigan State versus Arkansas, Texas Tech versus Baylor, Ole Miss versus Ohio State, Wisconsin versus A&M, TCU versus Louisville. And then from there, we'll have to see what happens. I won't predict until we know what happens. So, let's go over the seeding for each region, and then we'll go over all the overall seeding. Alright, so for the regional seeding, Georgia gets the number 1 seed, Oklahoma gets the 4 seed, Clemson gets the 2 seed, Cincinnati gets the 3 seed. Oklahoma gets the 5th seed, Michigan gets the 7th seed. The 6th goes to Oregon, Coastal Carolina, and Oregon gets the final 8th seed. 6 versus 8, 1 versus 4. and so on and so forth. And then for the All-State Sugar Bowl region, Tennessee gets the number 1 overall seed, and then it goes down from there. Georgia being the 4th seed, Texas being the 2 seed, Penn State being the 3 seed, sixth or 5th seed Michigan State, 7th seed Georgia Tech, and then 6th and 8th. Arkansas 6th and Tulsa 8th. And then South Carolina, number 1 seed overall, or number 1 seed in that Rose Bowl region, and then Wisconsin, the number 1 seed in the Fiesta Bowl region. Overall seeds go like this. Georgia gets number 1 over seed 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. 32, the number 1 seed goes to Georgia, the number 32 seed goes to Louisville, and then everybody will fit in there as it shows in the rest of the seeds. So the top 5 seeds are overall top 5 overall seeds go to Georgia, Oklahoma, Clemson, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State as the top 5, and then the next 5: Michigan, Coastal Carolina, Oregon, Tennessee, and Georgia Tech. Or sorry, Georgia State, I mean. Next 5 would be Texas, Penn State, Michigan State, Georgia Tech, Arkansas. Next 5 after that would be Tulsa, South Carolina, Texas Tech, Baylor, and Appalachian State. And then the next 5 would be Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Liberty, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. And then the next 5 would be UCLA, Texas A&M, Texas, or Texas A&M, UCLA, TCU, UCF, and then the final 2 UCF the final 5. One of the final 5 would be at USF, and then the final 2 would be UCF and Louisville. The number 1 seeds in each region are as follows: Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Wisconsin. The number 2 seeds in each region: Clemson, Texas, Baylor, and TCU. Those are the number 1 seeds and 2 seeds in each region, and then 3 and 4 go. The 3 goes to Cincinnati and Coastal Carolina, or Cincinnati and Penn State and Ole Miss and UCF. 4 goes to Oklahoma, Penn State, Arkansas. So yeah, that they go back to this in here. This is the final look at the bracket without the seeds, overall seeds. So again, we're gonna do Georgia, Oklahoma first, then South Carolina, Texas Tech, then Clemson, Cincinnati, then Baylor, Appalachian State, then Oklahoma State, Michigan, then Notre Dame, Ole Miss, then Coastal Carolina, Oregon, then Liberty, Ohio State, then it will be Tennessee, Georgia State, Wisconsin, USC, Texas, Penn State, Texas A&M, UCLA, then Michigan State, Georgia Tech, TCU, UCF, so you're just gonna go alternating the top team from here, then the top team from there, then the second. So you're just gonna go back and forth until you get all first round games done. And so yeah, that'll be it. We will have the game starting tomorrow. So until then, until the first game between Oklahoma and Georgia in Athens, Georgia, at their stadium in the game, until the first game of the tournament. Keep on YouTube, everybody, and we'll see you all next time.